Hey, how's it going, fight fans? Welcome to mindforcombat. If you're new to the channel, my name's Rohan, and this is my platform where I do fight sports related content. So if you're new here, why don't you help me grow my platform? Now all you have to do is subscribe to the channel, like the video if you like it, and maybe hit that bell icon so you get notified every time I upload a video. It won't cost you nothing, it'll help me a lot, help me reach personal goals and goals that I'm hoping to hit 2K by the end of the year, for example, and I need your help to be able to do it. So please support me in reaching this goal. I'm relying on you guys. Anyways, in this video I'll be breaking down the upcoming main event light heavyweight fight between light heavyweight top contenders Thiago Santos as he returns from his first fight after giving John Jones hell, and he takes on the streaking Glover Teixeira. The 41-year-old is actually on a 4-fight win streak and has shown some of the best form of his career, funnily. So it just goes to show you, aging doesn't have to be a death sentence. If you can use your wisdom, your experience, and everything that you've learned along the way, then you can negate some of Mother Nature's attacks on you per se. The aging, the slowing down, the reflexes not being what they are. So it's going to be a really interesting fight. It's a very important one. The winner here is no doubt going to walk away as the top contender at 205, and I think the winner here is going to be a good challenger for the light heavyweight title. I mean, Thiago Santos has beaten Jan Blachowicz when they previously fought, which wasn't that long ago. That was at the beginning of the win streak for Jan, and for Santos, it's only about 2 fights ago. So this is a very important fight, and for Glover, he's been around, he's a staple, he's been around for a long time. But with a win here, he rides a 5-fight win streak in a division that John Jones just left. There's not really any other contenders that stand out. So this is a clear #1 contenders fight for me. It's a very exciting one. The stylistic matchup that's proposed is a very intriguing one, and without further ado, let's break this one down. So the first thing that jumps out to me is that Glover is 41. I'd say 31, that would have made him a young man, but he's 41 years old. And that makes him 5 years older than the 36-year-old Thiago Santos. Now, we've seen Glover performing recently, and he hasn't looked like he's aged or slow. I mean, he's not the fighter that he was in 2014, for example, but he certainly isn't completely washed at this stage. He's certainly got lots left in the tank, and I have to believe that we're going to see Glover doing a lot of great things still in his career, and this may be his path to a title shot. Then you got Thiago Santos, who's 36 years old, and of course in his last fight he looked like dynamite when he was fighting John Jones. But you have to be mindful that he did tear his ACL, MCL, PCL. He had some horrible knee injuries there to deal with, and he's been out of the ring since then, over a year now. He's 36 years old. Could that have impacted his explosiveness, his natural abilities that really made him stand out? And it was in both knees as well, so I really do worry for Thiago Santos. It's going to be a very telling fight, but I think both these guys have plenty of fight left, even Glover at 41, so I don't think age is going to play too much of an issue here, particularly where they're not, far off each other's age. Thiago Santos comes into this fight with a professional record of 21 wins and 7 losses, and he fights Glover Teixeira, who has a professional record of 31 wins and 7 losses. So these are two very experienced fighters, been around for a long time, both been around in the UFC for a long time, both former world title challengers. So, this is a big fight at 205. Thiago Santos stands at 6'2", the same as Glover Teixeira, who stands at 6'2", and they both have a 76-inch reach. So to quote Mike Goldberg, you can say it's virtually identical. Now, here's what's interesting though. Thiago Santos likes to lead with kicks. Glover likes to lead with his boxing. So whilst they seem to be sized up pretty much perfectly, I would say that Thiago Santos is probably going to have a lot more success at distance because he's going to be able to utilize his kicks. Also, he's going to be able to avoid the clinch of Glover Teixeira. So I think that's going to be interesting to see how he uses his distance. But Glover's boxing is where he's going to stand out. But I'll get into all of that. To describe their styles, now Thiago Santos, I've always described him as a berserker. He's a Muay Thai specialist. He smashes hard, he lands heavy leg kicks, he's got big power in everything he does. Defensively, he isn't sound, I'll be honest. I think he's susceptible to get hit and KO'd. We've seen that in multiple fights for Thiago Santos. Of course, he lost to David Branch not that long ago, and that's a fight he should never have lost. His other losses have come to guys like Gegard and stuff, and that's not really that bad a loss, to be honest. Losing to Gegard, and I think Gegard is one of the best of all time, really, at this point with everything he's achieved. But I think he is very susceptible because he leaves himself open defensively, and Glover hits hard. To describe Glover's style, well, he's got really good boxing, particularly his hooks and overhands that he likes to rely on. He doesn't really set stuff up with a jab. He doesn't really kick heavy. He can kick, but where he shines is in his boxing, and then the transition to wrestling and BJJ, he's sensational. So this is a really good fight. Some of their key wins. Now they both have really good decorated resumes. Thiago Santos, you know, the wins that jump out to me are his wins over Jan Blachowicz, as I mentioned. That's a big win. He's obviously beaten Jimmy Manuwa. That was a huge win. He beat Anthony Smith at middleweight. He beat Jack Hermanson at middleweight. And, you know, that's a lot of credentials right there for Glover Teixeira. He's been around for a long time. And, of course, he's beaten the likes of Rampage Jackson back in 2012, 2013, when Rampage wasn't completely washed. And he's beaten Ryan Bader. He's not Ryan Bader, a guy who I respect a hell of a lot. He's beaten the likes of Nikita Krylov, of course, more recently. He just, he's been a human stopping machine. He's beaten a lot of really good guys, and I think he's a guy that really deserves a lot of respect. If you throw in his wins over the likes of OSP, this is a tough fighter, and he's just stopped Anthony Smith in a brutal performance, and that was probably one of his most brutal performances. So these are two really decorated fighters at 205, got great resumes to show for it. The biggest issue for Thiago Santos coming into this fight is the questions: are his knees healed, and how's he going to deal with the layoff at 36 years old? And for Glover Teixeira, I think it's going to be his age. What's going to be the impact here? Is this going to be a fighter who's going to have noticeably slowed down? Now, he just fought in May. I don't anticipate it will be, but at 41, you always got to have those questions. Let's get into the prediction. Or just before that, the X factor for Thiago Santos is going to be his explosiveness, and the X factor for Glover Teixeira is going to be his punching power and his BJJ. Now let's get into the prediction. So this is a very interesting fight, and a fight that I think is going to be handled on the feet very early. I think Glover's going to fancy his chances in the boxing, because like I said, Thiago Santos defensively isn't brilliant. He's very susceptible to getting hit. His chin is up, and we've seen that his chin isn't cast iron. He can be stopped. He's a guy that shines a lot when he's offensive, but defensively he lacks a lot. And I think a lot of that's been handled by moving up to 205. It seems like the weight cut at 185 might have been impacting him a little bit, but it is still a question, and Glover hits hard. Also, his wrestling is going to make a difference. But if John Jones struggled to take Thiago Santos down, I mean, he didn't really ever fully commit to his wrestling. You got to wonder what that Glover Teixeira is probably going to struggle to take him down. Now, on Santos' side, he's going to have a big advantage when it comes to kicks. I think Glover's very open to leg kicks, and I think Thiago Santos is going to be throwing a lot of leg kicks. I think Glover's really open to body kicks, and I think Thiago Santos is going to be throwing a lot of body kicks, and I think that's really where the difference is going to be. I think Thiago Santos is probably going to have healed well coming into this fight, and I say probably because I'm not sure. If he's healed, I'm going to see Thiago Santos be able to outmaneuver Glover Teixeira, being the faster man. I think even in his prime, Glover was kind of a slower fighter, but he was a very talented fighter, still is. But he was a slower man, always has been. And I think at this stage, Santos is going to be the much faster, more dynamic guy. I think in those explosions, when he's able to blow into those kicks and land those leg kicks on Glover, it's going to take away Glover's takedowns in the way. And I think Glover might be successful in getting a takedown or two early in the fight, but as the fight wears on, those takedowns are going to become harder to get and fewer between. And as they spend more time on the feet, there's going to be more damage impacted or inflicted by Thiago Santos. I think Thiago Santos is going to really start to open up a gap. As the fight goes on, I think Glover Teixeira is going to be beaten up and tired. I think Thiago Santos, being as dangerous as he is going to probably be able to stop Glover Teixeira later in the fight. Now, that comes with a lot of caveats, because like I say, his chin is open and defensively he's not sound, and Glover's got great fundamental boxing skills as well as big power. So I think he's going to be able to exploit that. Do I think that tells us tell of the full story? No, I think Santos is going to be able to win this fight. But this is very much a 50-50 fight, maybe 55-45 in my opinion. But guys, I'm going with Thiago Santos for the win with absolutely no confidence that it's going to be a certainty. And of course, this is why we love MMA, because there is no certainties. But that's how I see the fight going. We'd love to know how you guys see this fight going. So guys, please comment below. Let me know your predictions for the fight. Let me know if you enjoyed this video, and might be a preview at the end of this video for another video that I've done previously. Check it out if you ain't watched it, so watch the full thing. Remember to like, subscribe, share the video, all that jazz. Help me grow my platform. Anyways, thanks for watching. I'm Rohan, and as always, this is Mindful Combat.
Since he debuted just a little over two and a bit years ago, he has looked absolutely exceptional. He has taken out everyone that's been put in front of him, won a world championship, and now defended it against a middleweight division's boogeyman in a sense. What's interesting about Israel Adesanya is that he still remains undefeated, 19-0 with 14 KOs. He's still a young man, only 30 years old, and he stands at 6'4" with an 80-inch reach. those stats make it sound almost as though he is big enough to be a light heavyweight, and yes, that is true, but I would say his frame is very skinny, so he would need some time to put on the muscle to go up there and finalize his beef with John Jones, and that's very interesting. But at middleweight, he has some very, very, very prolific challenges waiting for him to cement his place in the division's history. What's interesting about Israel Adesanya as well is that at this stage, whilst he's been in there with all types of fighter, I don't believe that he has felt, truly the best strikers in the division. I feel like Robert Whittaker could have given him that challenge, but Robert Whittaker just didn't get off that night, and Israel Adesanya looked exceptional. But there are some truly talented fighters in the middleweight division just waiting to show Israel Adesanya what they have to show. Without further ado, let's get into this. Now, first person that jumps out to me is Darren Till. Now, Darren Till is still only 27 years old. Stands at 6'1" with a 74.5-inch reach, and he probably always should have been 185. I believe at 170 he was very, very diminished, cutting a lot of weight, and that of course impacts his chin. Impacts his chin and his ability to take a shot. Of course that is going to make a difference, and then that's what you started to see when he got dropped by Tyron Woodley and he got finished by Jorge Masvidal. What's interesting is that I think that in a rematch with Masvidal he will beat him if you looked at how the fight went, but let's not deviate too much. Darren Till made his debut at 185, taking on Kelvin Gastelum on a 2-fight losing streak. Kelvin Gastelum was just removed from giving Israel Adesanya the fight of his career in what was arguably a fight of the year fight between them both. What's interesting is that Darren Till came up, and just as I predicted, if you guys have been following my channel, Darren Till won that fight. Darren Till looked, he looked good. He got a lot of flack for that performance. A lot of people said it was a dull performance. But in my opinion, he went in there against a fighter who had just fought the world champion, gave the world champion hell. He was expected to get knocked out in that fight. He won. Well, that's a victory. You can't expect him to lose, and yet when he wins and say it's not a good performance, it was a good performance in my opinion. And he showed just how good he is at 185 by taking out Kelvin Gastelum. His professional record still stands at 18 wins, 2 losses and 1 draw. Now that's a very experienced record for a very young man who's had a world championship fight and had the ups and downs and the opportunities to learn. He's a talented striker, undefeated in Muay Thai with a 46-0 record. And the stylistic matchup of Israel Adesanya is a very appealing one to me. This is a fight that will be fought very much as a Muay Thai fight, and that's so exciting to me. I feel like Darren Till would have great skills to utilise in the fight against Israel Adesanya, and I believe that it may even benefit him to get that fight with Israel Adesanya, and I believe that would be where we see the best version of Darren Till, as opposed to him having to fight loads and loads of fights to come up. I think there's tougher fights in the middleweight division than Israel Adesanya for Darren Till, just because of stylistic matchups, and I'm very, very excited to see what's next for Darren Till. So definitely, without a doubt, one of the biggest threats to Israel Adesanya is Darren Till.